Hello everyone, welcome to another planty video. It is me, Desiree, and it is time for a front yard garden tour. I put up a tour of my front yard garden at the end of April, so it's been a couple of months or 3 months that I haven't really shown you all of the plants, and I keep wanting to do it, but my nerves are getting the best of me, and it was no different this morning. When I did that first video, I was so nervous because I'm in my front yard, you know, my neighbors might see me and what are they gonna think? So I was very nervous doing that video, and it was no different this time. So I will show you a little bit of my backyard, my side yard, but I focus a lot on the front yard. I'm gonna go through every plant and tell you what it is and how it's been going for me. There's a lot of bees out there, as you will see. I did this at 6:30 this morning. I was incredibly nervous. You can kind of hear it in my voice a little bit. So it's not a perfect video, but I did it, and I'm very proud of myself that I filmed in my front yard and I did it. So hopefully you enjoy the garden tour. After the tour, if you're interested, I'm going to talk about some of the challenges I've experienced gardening and some of like the disappointments and the, you know, there have been a lot of times where I just wanted to rip everything out of the ground. So after the tour's over, if you're interested, I'm just going to share some of that stuff with you. So first, let's get on with the tour. So first thing I want to show you is my little honeysuckle vine project over here. Oh my gosh, look at all these blooms. These were not like this the other day. They were just like little, like green ones like this. Oh my gosh, I'm dying. Also my voice. This is the first I've talked all day. It'll get better, I promise. They smell incredible. So I'm so glad this is working. My neighbor has a big one like this up on, it looks kind of like similar to this one that we have here, but it's a little bigger. Hers I think is more like an actual pergola. Ours I think is this a pergola? I've always thought it is, but maybe it's just a structure. I don't know. But she has one like this growing up the sides, and the other night it smelled so good in our yard, and I'm so glad. Anyway, I have this planted down there, and I wanted it to grow up this little like dead tree that's here because I actually really like the way this dead tree looks. It looks just like, I don't know, really, really cool, and it provides a lot of shade throughout the day. But I wanted to train the vines up it, you know, so I have them tied on here and there, but as it's growing, I'm just so happy. So like some of these vines here, I got to train around it, but I want it to like, you know, grow up here, but I had to show you it's actually blooming. I thought this was never going to bloom. I'm so excited. And then my bougainvillea here. Oh, I had an idea for this too. I thought this was going to be kind of the same thing, but for this side. But this is not a perennial here where we live. It's an annual. Our zone is not high enough for this plant. So I might bring it in the winter. I might just leave it out here and let it fend for itself, but we'll see. But the honeysuckle is what I really wanted to show you. And I have no idea what this tree is. It's, I don't know, this one. It grows a little bit of green, like this piece here, some there. But for the most part, you know, it's pretty dead. But a honeysuckle vine, oh, it's gonna look so good. Okay, on to the rest of the garden. And just a quick detour before we get up there where I planted some seeds, our vegetable garden and a little bit of fruit. These are some tomatoes my boyfriend planted. They're just like trailing along this little fence here, and like with their little viney little arms just tangled up onto the fence, and it's so cute. Look at a little tiny watermelon. Another one. Oh my gosh, my boyfriend accidentally stepped on one the other day because, well, look where it is. It's down here. And he was so devastated. But now, look, there's a few more growing. I was thinking we could put this up on a trellis. I was reading about it, that even though they have like these little spindly little vines that will curl up on a structure, the actual vine isn't something that's going to grow up on its own, so you have to kind of train it. But I think we should do that because this is getting insane. But it looks beautiful, beautiful foliage. And it looked just cool how it's growing. Zucchini's going insane. The foliage is going insane. We're getting zucchinis here and there, not as many as I was expecting, but enough that we have too many. Corn, killing it. Another watermelon here that is quickly trying to become part of the tomato plant. Like it's kind of curled itself around here. And then the tomatoes that we underestimated the size of cage we might need. And I can see from here that the sunflower is almost blooming. This, I think, is a Rudbeckia. It kind of just grew here. And the other day I went through here and was trying to do all kinds of weeds because these were like, the weeds were, it looked like beautiful grass, but I was kind of sick of them. And I left this one here. I think it's a Rudbeckia. I didn't plant this. It just kind of popped up. So I kept it. And also my dog pees on it pretty much every single day. So every day I come out here, rinse it off. But this is the only plant he ever pees on. So I'm fine with that if it keeps him off of all the other stuff. And I come out here and rinse it every day anyway. So, and it's still doing good. And I love this little guy. Okay, this is the sunflower. Look at that. Look at that beautiful little baby. Oh no, what is that little bug? I see a pest. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. I might come out here and spray with something because I don't want it to destroy my beautiful little flower. So these sunflowers are called Sunburst Magic Roundabout. It was just a packet of seeds I got at the grocery store. Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It wasn't open yesterday, but that little guy has got to go. If you know what it is, let me know. Oh yeah, there's something on this plant for sure. Anyway, these are all things I planted from seed. So here we have amaranth. Over here is just a bunch of morning glory that has nowhere to climb on, and I feel so bad for it, but my neighbor told me to dig it up like by the roots and just put it over there on the fence. That way it can kind of go up the fence like this one, and I think it looks really, really cool like that. And this one's getting a lot of little blooms, so yeah, I think that'll look really pretty over there. So maybe that's what I will do this morning now that it's really cool. Over there are a bunch of zinnias that haven't popped up yet, and here are some that did, and they're so beautiful. And they're little. They're not as big as I was expecting them to be though. Still not any less beautiful. Look at that. And they're like really sturdy blooms. And look at this beautiful pink one. This is just like a mixture. Like there weren't any particular colors. It was just like a zinnia mix. And I wasn't expecting any of these to grow. But oh, they're so pretty. Is that a weed? I think that one might be a weed. There's these weeds that kind of disguise themselves. There was one that was as tall as the tomato plant, so we didn't even notice it. It was like at least 6 feet tall. But look at this poor thing. I want to pull this out today, I think, and move it over there. I think it'll appreciate it a lot more. Is that a weed? Because that looks exactly like this one that's over here. I think that one might be a weed. That tall one that's in front of that purple plant. I think, is that, I don't know. See how they kind of look like sunflowers? Or like imposter plants. All right, let's move on to the front yard. And I'm going to try to include like before photos so you can kind of see what the plants look like before. But let me get back here so you can see the full thing. Oh my God. I thought I was going to get out here before the bees, and there's a big old bumblebee out here. Oh, it scared me. Anyway, here's what it looks like now. Oh, I should have moved the hose. It's fine. I'm trying to look for like a nicer hose up here, like a retractable one, because I have to like drag it all over the place when I'm watering in the morning. But everything looks so nice. I just love it now. So I'm gonna go through, let's just go through every single plant. Why not? There's not that many. So this one is, there's R2D2. A yarrow called Firefly Peach Sky. This is from Proven Winners. I love yarrow. It's probably one of my absolute favorite plants. I'm obsessed with it. I actually have 2 more in the backyard I forgot to show you. This one was like, I don't know, it was at least 2 or 3 feet tall when I got it, but it like completely died back. It just wasn't doing well. And I thought it was dead. I was just gonna pull it out. And then I was reading about yarrow, and it said just to cut it down, and I left it maybe 3 inches tall. And it came back, and it bloomed, and I can't believe it because I was so upset about this poor guy because I wanted it to be this big one that I saw in Garden Answer. And mine's like a little stump, but not any less beautiful. Okay, let's move on. My poor plant, we're not going to talk about my petunia basket. He's doing his best. Don't remember the name of, but I actually thought it was going to be this big, and it's like this little guy. I definitely need to come in here and deadhead these. I've been cutting off these spent blooms. I don't know if you're supposed to or not, but I feel like it helps it bring out more flowers. And I love this one. It's so beautiful. I don't know. It just one day had 1 bloom, and every day I would look at that 1 bloom and see if it opened up, and now it's just like full of blooms. But I definitely need to come in here and cut these off because I feel like it helps the plant bring more blooms. Or am I crazy? I know that looks like a squash plant, and let me tell you, it is. We'll talk about it in a second. But right here, this is my Rudbeckia. Oh my goodness. Isn't it just so beautiful? It's so big, so giant. Let me step back so you can see the whole thing. This is a Rudbeckia. Other name for it's called Black-Eyed Susan. I don't know the particular variety. If I happen to have the tag still, because I kind of saved all of them because I wanted to remember. I'll put them here on the screen, of course. This plant is gorgeous. The blooms are big, and I think they're kind of like, I don't know. I'm gonna wait till they fall off. I'm not gonna cut this down or anything. I love the way that it looks far away. It's just a big burst of like yellow against all of like the green and the purple that I have here. Oh, I just love it. It's absolutely just a little stunner. It's one of my favorite ones that I planted here. And then down here I just have my little, another yarrow, same one, not the same variety, but the same thing happened to this one. I thought it was dead and I was gonna pull it out, but I just cut it all the way to the ground and it came back. It came back beautifully. It came back fuller than ever. Although someone left me a comment on another video and said that theirs turned into an invasive weed. So I'm keeping an eye on both of these that I have here because I don't want that to happen. But also, I'm okay with this if it's a weed because it's beautiful. So there's that. And then right here, one of my freaking favorite plants. I loved this so much. I went about it. Oh, there's a bee next to me. Okay. I thought I was going to beat the bees. Anyway, this is a sedum and it's called Autumn Joy, I think. And it put out all these little blooms and some of them are getting a little bit of color to them. I don't know when it actually changes color, but I'm looking forward to it so much. So this one is kind of like a succulent and I'm kind of treating it like that. I kind of come in here and I touch the leaves and I kind of feel how it's doing. But for the most part, I leave it alone. I don't water it very often. It's been fine with just the amount of rain that we've gotten and it's doing so good. This is a plant that needs it, like the less is more with this plant, less water, less fertilizer, less fussing. And I love it so much. I bought another one. I'll show it to you in a sec. And this is a pumpkin plant. It's a pumpkin plant that just grew one day. It doesn't have any pumpkins yet. It's all foliage. But one day these little leaves popped out of the ground that kind of looked like squash. And I was like, why is there a squash plant up here? So I thought maybe the previous owners had like a vegetable garden or something up here. But we had a pumpkin up here last year. I'll put a picture of it right here. And I didn't think the seeds would do anything. Look at all those little buds down there. They look like little hands. But when I looked at I was like digging around in the bark here and I found pumpkin seeds like on top of each of the little sprouts. So pretty sure that's a pumpkin. Gonna have to get it out of here because if it's gonna turn in to a big plant like the zucchini, it's gonna completely take over here. So I don't really know how to take it out because there's landscape fabric right underneath this bark. So I don't know how it grew, if it's growing on top of it or not, but I'm gonna try to get it out of here sometime this weekend because I don't want it to take over and I kind of want to grow some pumpkins because why not? I have the plant. And then this one here is a columbine and it actually has some blooms. This poor little plant, I don't really know what it wants. It's not really doing much. It kind of just keeps dying back and then every now and then it puts out some flowers like, no, I'm still a good plant. Don't pull me out. It's really pretty, but I don't know. It's a perennial here in our zone. So maybe it'll come back next year. I'm going to leave it for the whole season and see what it does in the spring. But for now, you know, he's a little guy. He's doing his best. We have this dianthus that just put out these little blue blooms and they're so pretty. It has a ton of buds on it, but it doesn't really bloom that much. The buds don't really seem to do a lot. Oh, but look, there's a few there that are coming out. This plant is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was like a tall plant, but it seems to be like a mounding plant. I don't know. It's pretty, but it hasn't really done a whole lot. Same with this one back here. And then another one here in the back is this is a pink salvia. I'll have to put it up on the screen. It's from Proven Winners. And I found this at Lowe's and I was so excited. I brought it home, put it in the ground, and it immediately died. I mean, it didn't flop over or anything, but all of the blooms fell off. And I wasn't expecting that because I don't really know how outdoor plants bloom. I don't know if they're supposed to stay all year or not. So I was very disappointed. But I did the same thing with this that I did my yarrow. I just cut it all the way to the ground and I was like, well, if it grows, it grows. Who knows? And it popped back up. It grew big and it put a lot of blooms on it and it's coming back. So I'm really happy with this one. That one, on the other hand, is the love of my life. This is a Bluespire Salvia, I think. I'll have to double check, but this one has like tripled in size since I've had it. It's so big. There's a ton of bees over there, so I'm not going to get too close. Oh, they're zooming everywhere. it stays like with a lot of these blooms on it all the time. I don't cut them off because even though they look kind of spent, the bees love them. So I'm going to keep them till they naturally fall off. I love this one. It doesn't need anything, just like the tiniest bit of water once a week. And I just kind of let it live its life, and it's doing really well. And oh, look, there's a bee right there crawling. Oh my God, there's bees everywhere. I got to get up. This here in the front is a Russian sage. This is one that broke my heart. This plant needs a lot less than I anticipated, I guess, and I think I was giving it too much water because it immediately like opened up and it was flopping everywhere. All of the purple, like beautiful dusty purple blooms fell off, and it was yellow. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna let it live its life, and if it dies, it dies. And it came back. So less is more with this plant too. Like, it doesn't need anything. It's fine with the amount of rainwater we get. Plus, all of this bark, I think, holds moisture in the ground really well. So yeah, less is more definitely with this plant. Here's a little bit of a better view. I love this one. It's just beautiful. And then this one here in the front, oh look, it's putting out some little tiny blooms. This is another one of the sedums, the variety called Autumn Joy. I just think this is so beautiful. Oh my God, so gorgeous, so easy, needs nothing, thrives on, you know, I was gonna say neglect. Yeah, you know what? I think it does thrive on neglect. Less is more with this one, definitely, but I love this one. It's so pretty and so easy. Here is lavender. This is another one that I was very disappointed in. All of the lavender stuff fell off, but it's still this beautiful plant. And it smells incredible just when you touch it. It's cute. It just sits here kind of, you know, doing his own thing. Another one that doesn't really need anything. It's really filled out here in the middle. This is two separate little plants. So it's grown, but it's a slow grower, but I like it. It's nice. And then next to the lavender, I have a Nepota, and this one, another one that I was gonna rip out because I thought it was dead. It was this tiny little flat to the ground, flopped over, really depressing looking plant. And then one day I looked at it and it looked like this, and I couldn't believe it. Very similar like structure and coloring to the salvia and the Russian sage. Just these little tiny, really delicate purple blooms on this like dusty green foliage. It's just really pretty. Another one that the freaking bees love. They love this plant, and I love it now too. It's just, once it started doing something, I loved it. So yeah, it's doing well. Love it. The bees, they're everywhere. One just landed on me. Oh my God. Okay. These two little sad plants, this one and this one, these are Asiatic lilies. These were, they say they're perennials where I live, but I'm pretty sure they're dead. And I was gonna rip them out the other day, but I saw praying mantis on one of them, and I was like, oh no, that's the praying mantis's home. I hate the way that they look here. They're just like these two little dead nubs, and I want to pull them out, but I'm worried that the praying mantis has like a home there, so I'm just gonna leave them for now. And then right next to that dead Asiatic lily is one of my favorite little babies. I was not expecting to like this plant at all, and let me tell you why. So this is a Coreopsis, and I had this fantasy of having a climbing Coreopsis. So there are different varieties of pretty much every plant. This one is a mounding one, where it's just like a plant in the ground and it's gonna grow like a mound. And then there are vining ones, kind of like that honeysuckle I saw you earlier, and that's the one I wanted for the other side of that pergola type thing we have. They didn't have that, so I bought this instead just because I had to have something, and I hated it. I hated it so much. It was completely dead and like mushy and rotten on the inside, and I just kept at it, kept checking on it, kept watering it, and then this happened. It completely came back all in the middle where it was dead. All these blooms come out, and it's so pretty. One of the reasons I love this plant so much, the coloring's kind of showing different on the camera. Like in the camera, for me, it looks like orange red, but it's actually like a deep maroon. Oh, it's so pretty. But look how beat up the blooms come out looking. They look like they've seen some stuff and they're just still trying to be beautiful. I just think they're so gorgeous. They look a little imperfect, but perfect. You know what I mean? They're gorgeous. I love this one. I hope one day it gets as big as that Rudbeckia. Oh, look how beautiful it looks. I hope one day it gets that big because I just freaking love this one. And that is the last plant that I have up here. And then I'll show you like the seeds I planted. Oh, the bees. Oh my God. I hope they think I'm a friend. I mean, I planted this whole garden for them, so I'm definitely a friend. And then up here in this like front little, in front of the bricks, there was a bunch of landscaping rock here, but I pulled it out and we added in a bag of like a in-ground soil and kind of mixed it in with, because down here was actually sand, like that playground sand you go buy. So I didn't think anything was going to grow in that. So we went and mixed it with in-ground potting mix, and I think it worked. So this is a daylily that's finally going to bloom. This thing rarely blooms, but I just like it as this cool little plant anyway. So this one I did not grow from seed. I bought it as a plant. It is a perennial here in our zone. That's a weed. I got to pull out. These down here are echinacea. I planted these seeds. Oh yeah, they feel like echinacea leaves. Like they feel like prickly, not they're not going to hurt you, but they have a texture, like a sticky, fuzzy texture to them. Yeah, they're finally growing. These are perennials here, so I was very excited to put these in the ground. I grew these from seeds and they've taken forever, but I'm just happy they're even growing because they're perennials. So even if they don't do much this time, I think they'll come back next year a little like bigger. This, I can't tell if it's a weed or if it's actually Bachelor's Button. It kind of looks like the same foliage as the Bachelor's Button, but also it's one of those weeds that kind of like is an imposter. Like it's trying to just blend in, you know? And then these here are Bachelor's Buttons, and I grew all of these from seeds. I didn't think any of them were going to grow, so every single day that I saw them growing, I was freaking out. And they are just beautiful. They are exactly what I thought they were going to be. They just create like this tall thing, like this tall hedge in the front here, and you could see it like from the road. It just looks so colorful. All these like blue, I mean, there's bees everywhere. The bees love this plant. Like, look at that one down there. And I love it. Like I put them here for the bees. I really wanted bees in my yard. So, and since they actually grew, I thought every year I might put a different annual seed. So I put like 6 packs of seeds. I remember it was about $8 to $10 to buy all these seeds. And I think like for $10 a year to put all this beautiful stuff in the front here, that's totally worth it for me, even if it's just an annual. Although it's going to be so sad to pull all these out, you know, like, oh, I don't want to pull these out at the end of the year. I'm going to leave them till they just, you know, crust over. Because I just think they're so beautiful. There were 2 different varieties in here, but I kind of think they look similar. Some of them have like a color in the middle and then a different color in the outside. And then some are just a single color, but like the blue and the lavender, the cornflower, I just love these Bachelor's Buttons so much. And then here is my sad basket of Supertunia bubblegum from Proven Winners. I think there's a Supertunia jazzberry in here too, and one other kind. This was a $20 pot that I bought. Like it's one of those ready ones you just put in your own pot and it kind of just continues growing. Oh my God, the sun's coming up. It looks beautiful. I haven't fertilized this very much, and I think that's why it's not like as full as it could be. I also forgot to water it last night. I find like when I miss even one day of watering this thing, it just like, it tells me immediately. So needs some water, but it's still pretty. Like from the road, you can't see that it's, you know, looks like this. It still looks pretty from far away. So very happy with it. I would totally buy another one of these every year for $20. I mean, look how huge it's gotten. I love it. And then over here to the side, I have this barrel that I also just threw some seeds in. And I was so like, this sign I have here, live life in full bloom. I was so happy that I actually had stuff in bloom because it was just bare up here and I had this like colorful sign. But now you can't even see the sign because the Bachelor's Buttons have taken over. I can't believe these are prolific growers. They're so beautiful. I love this silvery green foliage and the little delicate blooms. One of my favorite things I've planted. I love it so much. Anyway, I had a plan for this. Like I planted them around the perimeter. I put 2 sunflowers in here on either side. They're doing their best, but they're getting taken over. And then there was some wildflower mix in there, but the only thing that really made it was the alyssum, this little delicate bloom here. Everything else I think just got eaten up by a Bachelor's Button, but I don't mind. I love it. And then here's another sad planter. I just haven't fertilized this as often as I should, or I'm supposed to. Everything I read about like the petunias and stuff, you're supposed to fertilize them like every single week, and I just can't be bothered. So, you know, lesson learned. I would buy the Proven Winners one again. I mean, look at it from over there. You can still even see it. It looks gorgeous. I'd buy that one again every year, but you know, I wouldn't go out of my way to like buy a bunch of little plants like this. This too, this is a regret. This is a lemon coral sedum from Proven Winners. Just, it wasn't, it didn't work out for what I wanted it, so I never knew what to use it for, so it just kind of sits here and, yeah, I hate to end the garden tour in this little thing, but yeah, that's the last plant I had to show you. So let me just give you a quick overview now that the sun's coming up. Okay, so I know you could kind of hear in my voice I was a little nervous, but I think it came out fine. I did it and I'm very proud of myself, so hopefully you enjoyed it. So if you're still here, I'm going to talk about some of the challenges I've experienced, some of the challenges and some of the reward as well. Like, it's not all just challenging, but there has been a lot of challenges with the plants up front, and a lot of like what I feel are disappointments, even though when you look at it now, I think it looks good. Like, it's kind of flourishing and I'm very, very happy with it. You know, a couple plants here and there I'm probably gonna take out, but for the most part, it's going well. But at first, it was so difficult for me to understand outdoor plants. I only have experience with indoor plants. You know, I have 200 plants in my house and I know how to take care of pretty much all of them. There are a few here and there that perish, but for the most part, you put them in a pot, you give them some soil, water them when they're dry, and they're fine. Like, you don't have to water them every single day. You don't have to be like checking on them all the time. Is the sun scorching them? Anything like that. And outdoor plants are totally different. It's mind-boggling to me to see how much direct sunlight some of the plants need in order to grow, because most of the time your indoor plants, if they come in contact with direct sunlight, they're gonna scorch and burn, but outdoor plants are totally different. They also need way more water than I was expecting, especially the plants at first when they're getting established, which is not something I understood. I kind of gathered it meant like once the plant gets its roots and it's part of your ground and your environment. But a lot of the stuff I planted, pretty much all of it, is supposed to be drought tolerant once established. All of them are perennials, and I wanted all of them to be like, plants are gonna love the sun because of where they're at. They're pretty much getting all sun all day. And at first, pretty much all the plants like died back. They either wilted all the way to the ground or just completely like dried up like a bone. The yarrow did that. The sage was just yellow and floppy, but I'm pretty sure I was overwatering it, even though I felt like I was barely ever watering it. The salvia did the same thing. I cut it, I don't know, the salvia and the yarrow, I cut down probably 3 to 4 inches off the ground and it came back. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't like expecting that, because I would never cut one of my houseplants down to like the nub and expect it to grow back that fast, but it worked, you know, and I'm very happy that I did that, because it came back. So another one of the challenges I have faced is having unrealistic expectations. So I'm a first-time outdoor gardener, like ever. I only started planting stuff at the end of March, and that's it. I only had like four months of experience. So it's been challenging watching professional gardeners on YouTube plant something. They know how to do it. They do the mulch. They put like a drip line system in, and then they do a garden tour in 3 months and you see the plants just flourishing. And I guess that's kind of what I was expecting, like to put the plant on the ground and it's just gonna take off, like the ones I see on the TV. But that's not the case. You know, the plant is gonna have transplant shock. Maybe you don't have the right soil. You know, I didn't do a lot of research like that. I did some because I wanted to make sure I picked like plants that were gonna be good up front. But you know, when you're buying an outdoor plant, you have to look at what kind of soil you have. What kind of soil does the plant like? Does it have too high of a pH? Do you need to get a tester to see what kind of pH your soil has? What are the pests that are outside? What's the sunlight like? What's your zone? Is there humidity? You know, there are so many more challenging conditions that the outdoor plants go through that I can't wrap my head around it. And I think it's just a lot to learn, but it's kind of the same when I got into the indoor plants. Like, it's a lot to learn, not only from the names, the scientific names, the common names, all the types of plants, all the types of care the different plants need, the soil they like, the light conditions, you know. But outside plants I think are a bigger thing. Like, they're so much more challenging, but everything I think now has really established itself. Like there are a few like things I want to pull out, like the Asiatic Lilies, maybe the Columbine, I'm kind of like on that one. Definitely the pumpkins, gotta move those. But for the most part, everything has established itself and I'm feeling like proud of it now, rather than like I go look at it every day and I'm like disappointed that it's not taking off like the garden I saw on YouTube, you know what I mean? So it's been challenging. And at first I was feeling very, very little reward and just so much work, but now I'm seeing the reward and I'm seeing the other side and like why people love gardening. And now I'm like, now I love it, but it has been very challenging, but I think it's because of my own unrealistic expectations and maybe lack of research. Like maybe I should have done better research. And it's interesting because the indoor plants I have, I'm never expecting them to grow that fast. You know, I don't have a plant with 3 leaves and then next month I'm expecting to have a hanging basket out of it. But with the outdoor plants, for some reason, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to put it in the ground and it was gonna be as big as it looks on the picture, like a big giant full, you know, just flourishing giant thing. But I bought a 4-inch pot of it, like I don't know. I don't have realistic expectations, I think, when it comes to gardening, but because I'm watching other people online that planted stuff the same time that I did, we planted seeds at the same time, and mine mostly don't have blooms on them, and theirs, they're already like dying, so they cut them down, you know, and I'm like, how come I can't get the hang of it? But it's new to me, so I'm still learning. If you're in zone 7B, let me know some of the challenges you face or some of the successes you have, because I would love to know. Like, I want to get better, I want to learn more. I have like this whole side yard that would be really fun to experiment with different plants. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and I will see you later in another video. Goodbye.